I am here with Jill Orton. She is the Nebraska, Iowa Red Cross Regional Executive. Jill, it's so great to see you again.
Andy, it's my pleasure to be here with you today.
So we've had many conversations over the last few years. I think most of the time we're talking about some kind of disaster that has happened, whether it's flooding, the pandemic, other things happening in our community. But today we're going to talk a little bit about you and how how you come to be the regional executive. And the Red Cross has really impacted your life from a young age. So, and I just, before we start, our issue Celebrating Women that is out, we profiled you and I learned a lot and I really appreciated that. So let's go back and let's start from the beginning.
Great. Thanks for the opportunity to share, Andy. So I've had a couple real defining Red Cross moments that I didn't even realize were a part of my life until here I am in this great career. And these are just instrumental to look back on and go, no, this is really meant to be. One being my grandmother was a Red Crosser from the very beginning. She actually volunteered to set up Red Cross dances where she met my grandfather in Loop City, Nebraska and Elyria, Nebraska, in that area. So pretty cool family history. She was a 20-gallon blood donor.
Wow.
And yeah, pretty darn amazing to know she gave consistently many times a year. You can give every 56 days. And so obviously she did that. And we celebrated her life right before the pandemic hit. And my mother gave me her Red Cross blood donor cards, and I was looking at them. And to the day on my birthday, 10 years prior to me being born, was her first blood donation. And lo and behold, we have the same blood type. So that's pretty interesting, I do think.
Is that unusual?
I'll just share, I'm an O positive blood donor, which is the most common type of blood. So the odds are probably, it could happen.
Yeah.
So that's my first Red Cross kind of connection that I didn't even put together until just recently. And another one was my mom took me to Red Cross swimming lessons when I was really young. And I went through that whole entire array of courses, including lifeguard training, which serves me well now to this day. It helped me get my first nonprofit job at the YMCA and coaching. And it connects me to even the amazing things happening in Omaha right now, the Olympic swim trials and volunteering. Yes. And knowing that whole entire group of folks. So that's Red Cross. And then when I was in 8th grade, my town of St. Paul, Nebraska was hit by a tornado, and lo and behold, the Red Cross came and set up shop right in front of my house.
Wow.
So who knew that all these touch points along the way would equate to a pretty darn amazing career that I have had and continue to have at the Red Cross.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, what inspired this career choice?
A little bit of luck, I do think, and it's taking opportunities as they show themselves along the way, not being scared to try new things. I always thought I'd be a teacher. My kids laugh at me because I said I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher, and they roll their eyes at me, really, Mom? So my parents are both teachers, so I knew I'd do something in the service industry. And one thing that led to the next, I have a degree in pre-med, chemistry and biology, and I moved to Hastings, Nebraska, followed my husband. I got my MRS degree and went, what am I going to do for a career? And so volunteering, and near and dear to my heart and service, led to this career.
Yeah. And you talk a lot about, you mentioned several times in the article about getting out of your comfort zone. And how you did that. So let's talk a little bit about that, because you went on to what was your first position at the Red Cross? Because you kind of moved up the ladder, so to speak, to where you are today.
So true. I started out through my aquatics experience being a safety specialist at the American Red Cross through what we now call training services. And so that was my first step. And I just really had some, I suppose I always had strong leadership capabilities, but it's just, I aspired to always learn new things, and being a learner, I was quite ambitious. And with that just came, even if I felt I wasn't ready, I was willing to take that risk.
Yeah. And then you talked about, you were in kind of the position that you are now, but was it in Southwest Iowa, or where you really had to develop a team from like the ground up?
Oh, yeah. So in 2014, I was called to lead a brand new team, and it was like a realignment and a merger of two teams that came together. And it was a really an eye-opening learning experience. A lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, literally.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about myself as a leader, but also it's not about me. It's about building a team of leaders that can lead the way. And then how do we empower our volunteers to take leadership positions, which I was afforded. And so with that, I'm forever grateful and will live that model of living by example.
And then from there, did you transition up into the Omaha area?
No, I was in the Omaha area. I've never had to move, go figure.
Okay.
So it's just always been one of the what's the next best thing along the way. And the organization provides amazing career development opportunities. I was a part of what was called the LEAD program, Leadership Education and Development Program. And that just really gave me access to executive leaders nationally and opened the door to learn new things and to take on new projects and new teams.
And let's talk a little bit about kind of the future. I want to go up to the future and looking at not just future aspirations, but where do you see yourself, your career with the Red Cross? I mean, talk a little bit about the future.
Well, I really feel like I'm a tried and true Red Crosser, but I'm also a really strong leader. I always want where I can continue to learn and grow personally. And where can I coach and mentor others to make a difference and an impact? Yeah. That's what I'm looking to do. Ultimately, so my children are young adults in college. When I don't have to work to help support, I'd love to transition someday, and maybe 15, maybe 20 years, where I can be a full-time volunteer again.
Yeah. And let's just touch briefly on some of the highlights over the years.
So Red Cross gave me the opportunity to partner within the Rotary structure. So in 2009, I was part of a life-changing experience where myself, along with 4 other non-Rotarians in a youth exchange, went with a Rotarian to Taiwan for a month to share goodwill and our experience as Americans. I'm still amazing friends with those people. My best friend is the leader of that program at that time, and we still have fun times together. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned I could travel internationally. I learned that I could speak in front of people. I learned that, you know what, I have what it takes, and let's take the next step. And it opened a lot of doors for me.
Yeah, what a great experience. Wow. I can't even imagine, but I mean, a month in a country that's so different than
exactly.
ours, and really, yeah.
The inclusion standpoint, to look at it differently and to share from as a human, we all desire very similar things. We want to be heard. We want to make a difference. We want to have fun. And it was really good. And it made me look at things differently and come back and put those lessons into play as I build teams.
Well, kind of our final question, I just want to ask you, and sometimes it's hard to kind of look at yourself, but how do you inspire others? How do you see
Uh,
yourself inspiring others?
I think it's kind of a three-pronged approach for me. I want it to be fun, like I mentioned. I think I really learned how to listen, gotta know what people really want. And then how do you lead by example to know you're a part of it with them so that my experiences can then help amplify their experiences so that we're all in it together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jill, again, it was great to learn more about you. I love the backstory of how you came, just that Red Cross piece early on where there were no dots to connect at that time.
No,
And just what you're doing now. I mean, truly, you're an inspiration as a woman leader, and the Red Cross does so much for so many. I mean, all over the world, but our community. Just really proud to have you in the Red Cross and everything you do in the community. So I just want to thank you for that.
well, Andy, thank you for the opportunity and for me to share not only about myself humbly, but about an organization that makes such a difference in our community.
Yeah. Well, you sharing the story about the organization and yourself, I know inspires others. It certainly has inspired me. So I just want to thank you, Jill, again for joining me today.
Oh, thank you, Andy, and I look forward to, I'm sure we'll talk again.
I know we will.